Hey, I'm a purple otaku, an otaku that is purple, and welcome to my channel. Today I will be doing a Steven Universe theory. It's more like a canon explanation, I think. I don't know how to put it. It's like kind of implied, kind of canon. It's this in-between thing that I don't know how to explain, but I'm gonna call it a theory. Okay, so first off, in case you haven't seen all of Season 3, I don't think I'll be getting into Season 4, so you'll be fine. There's gonna be some spoilers. But if you're not caught up in Season 3, I honestly don't know what you're doing with your life. Steven Universe is, like, great. Anyways, and today what I want to talk about is why I think fusion. Obviously, after the episode, I don't remember what it's called, but it had Lapis and Jasper, and that whole fight went on. Everyone was like, oh, that's like an abusive relationship. You know, if you don't think that, you're dumb. This is an abusive relationship. And I'm like, that's right. But 2 or 3 days prior to that, I was just thinking about the show in general and all the fusions. I was like, oh my great goodness. Fusions are symbolism for relationships. Like, in case you didn't get that from Garnet, which I feel like was pretty obvious. But it totally made sense, and the more I thought about it, the more evidence I came up with. For example, how a fusion becomes a fusion is through dancing, which is something that is considered by many something that is very passionate. And then also, because it's like you take two people and you put them together and you get something totally new, which is kind of like a relationship. Because now, like, I'm like, yo, you make me feel better, so I will try to be better. At least I'm assuming. I'm not very good with relationships or English today. Just keep that in mind. So yeah, and so as I thought about it, I came up with more ideas. So I'm just gonna kind of go over how I feel I really can't talk today. How I feel fusion represents relationships, and what I think fusions mean for certain relationships within the show. So, without further ado, I shall begin. I'm not going to talk about Garnet because that one's pretty obvious. Like, it was something that was super taboo, but when they got together, it was absolutely amazing and beautiful because the answer was like a great episode. And if you don't agree, then you're watching a different show. Okay, and then after Garnet, which was a pretty obvious one, I'm going to go into Opal, which is obviously Amethyst and Pearl. And when those two fuse, it's very interesting because Opal isn't exactly a mix between them. Opal's personality has aspects from both of them, but it's something new entirely. And I think if you've ever hung out with two people who are obviously crushing on each other and they have very different personalities, but they're like totally flirting with each other, you get that. Like, they act different than they do other times. I feel like that's with Opal. And obviously with Opal, she's not very stable, definitely due to their different personalities, and they have difficulties getting along. But obviously as the series moved on, they've been better about that. And then next, after Opal, you have, I'm not going to talk about Alexandrite because I don't feel like it, and I feel like that one's pretty self-explanatory. When you have a lot of people in one relationship, it can get kind of confusing, I think. I don't know. Again. So after Alexandrite, Sugilite. So when you have Sugilite, obviously Amethyst and Garnet both have pretty explosive personalities at times. And with Sugilite, you get a lot of that because they're just very strong, and you put them together, and neither of them is really willing to be more submissive, and so that's really interesting. Okay, now I'm going to talk about who I really want to talk about, which is Rainbow Quartz, right? Pearl and Rose Quartz. And that was, first off, beautiful animation, beautiful scene. I don't know why the UK felt the need to censor it, but it's great. Don't let the UK trick you. But with those two, I think that's a really interesting relationship they put a lot of emphasis on throughout this series. And with Rainbow Quartz, they put a lot into that just short fusion that we got to see. But I think it really represents Pearl and Rose Quartz's relationship, because in it you can see, in Rose Quartz you can see Rose Quartz, in Rainbow Quartz you can see a lot of Rose Quartz's personality, because Pearl obviously is less aggressive personality. She obviously adores Rose Quartz, but also, like, obviously fusions, they dance, which represents passion, but especially the way they dance was very romantic. I mean, unless you're dancing with Garnet, because she's just like, that is very, very romantic, dancing with Garnet. But, and then once they finally fused, it's full of, like, passion and this liveliness, and it's great, but it's short-lived. And then afterwards, obviously, Pearl is all happy about it, but Rose Quartz just thought it was something interesting, which seems to be her thought towards a lot of things. But I think that really speaks about their relationship, because it was short-lived and it was probably full of passion, because Pearl did feel so strongly towards Rose Quartz, but in the end it didn't last as long as she had hoped it would. And and Steven and Connie, Stevani, I love Stevani, so, like, I'm probably going to be doing a bunch of fan art after this, because I can't even, which you'll probably be able to find on my Instagram, which I announced that I had last video. I'll probably put it down in the description. I'm working on this whole social media thing. I'm new to it. Please forgive me. But anyways, yeah. And Stevani, obviously, you have Steven and Connie, who are both children, and they're both very anxious, very worrisome people, as you could see with the newer episodes in season 4. Dang it, I was gonna mention season 4. I forgot about Stevani. But you can see that not only have they really grown as people, but as a fusion, and that's another thing that is very, like, relationship driven, is when you have two people and they come together, not only do they change how they treat each other, but they change who they are. I think you can only spend so much time with someone before you start to alter who you are, at least around them. Just kind of like, you know, having a similar sense of humor around them, or saying more things that they would say. It can be as simple as that. It could be they open your eyes to a new perspective and you act differently towards a certain topic or something like that. And I think that Stevani really well captures that. And then obviously abusive relationships, again, is Jasper and Lapis, which makes Malachite. And obviously, as they tell you in the show, the more stable a fusion is, the more human they appear, and things like that. But I think that's the same with relationships. Again, because this is what the theory, canon, implication, I don't know what I'm calling this anymore, is. It's about relationships and fusion. But when you have two people and they're together, if they don't work well together, then one of them, whoever's more aggressive, like, especially if it is almost like an abusive relationship, or if it is an abusive relationship, can seem more like a monster than a person. So yeah, I don't want to cover the rest of the fusions because I'm lazy. So, also, I'm not going to tell you to like or comment or subscribe, because when I'm watching YouTube videos, I feel like I know how YouTube works. Please don't tell me what to do. So it kind of annoys me when people do that. So if you've noticed, I do not do that, and I will not do that. Except for maybe, eventually, if I'm just like, I have no subscribers and this is sad, I might. But for now, that's all. Thank you for listening to whatever it is I'm going to call this, because I honestly don't know at this point. Well, that's all for the video. Bye!